today I'll be talking about three things. I'll be talking about prohibited behaviors. I'll also be talking about restricted categories. Then the last thing I'll be talking about is prohibited categories. So let's go to prohibited behaviors. So prohibited behaviors, these are behaviors that you exhibit on Facebook that um, your earnings will either be restricted or limited. So the first one is engagement bait. Now, when a particular content has incentives for people to either click a link or respond to a post via likes or comments, that kind of content, your earnings can be limited or restricted. The next one is soliciting engagements. Contents that are purposely done in order to encourage engagement, like contents that are inappropriate, but you purposely do them in order for you to gain engagement. Those kind of contents, your earnings can be limited or restricted. Now, such contents are consumption of inedible substances. Now, you know that this thing is not something that somebody is supposed to consume normally or naturally, but you consume that kind of a thing just because you want engagement. The next one is showing graphic content. Now, graphic content could be violence or sexual sin or abuse, as the case may be. Then, consumption of drugs, tobacco, or alcohol. The next one is disrobing or other sexual behavior. Disrobing, like removing your clothes and all that, or other sexual behavior. So when you see people coming online to get naked just for the sake of getting views and all that, such contents, the earnings can be limited or restricted. Then the next category is restricted categories. So they may face reduced or restricted monetization, this kind of subjects. So the first one is debated social issues. Such contents talk about race, gender, national origin, age, political affiliation, ethnicity, disability, sexual orientation, socioeconomic class, religion, immigration, legitimacy of elections. Now, for contents that exploit controversial political or social issues for commercial purposes, they are entirely restricted from monetization. Then the next one is tragedy or a conflict. So examples of such contents are the death of someone, physical injury, mental disabilities, illness, physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, property damage, and what have you. Then the next one is objectionable activity. Objectionable activities are like substance abuse or crimes. So when you start discussing such things or showing such things, your earnings will be limited or restricted. Example is substance abuse, threats, advocating for harm, trafficking, theft, vandalism, trespassing, corruption, fraud, bribery, insider trading, embezzlement, hacking, copyright infringement, judicial proceedings. So monetization for such contents that promote the sale or misuse of illegal, prescription, or recreational drugs. Sexual or suggestive activity. For example, you have nudity, sexual activity, sexual poses, suggestive dancing, simulations of sexual activity, sex objects, suggestive language, revealing or absent items of clothing. Monetization of gratuitous nudity, depictions of people in explicit positions, or activities that are overly suggestive or sexually provocative. strong language. Now, strong language are derogatory words or vulgar sexual language. Now, content may face reduced or disabled monetization if it contains this language, either spoken, written, or otherwise represented. Such languages are profanity, derogatory words, sexual words, innuendos, crude gestures, vulgar motions, any form of hate speech. Now, for explicit content are contents like wounds, infections, bodily fluids, medical procedures, food processing, extreme body modification, bodily functions, ingesting substances not intended for consumption, ingesting nauseating substances, decay, infestation. There is a restriction of monetization of sensational, disrespectful, or excessively graphic content. Now, the last one is the prohibited categories. The prohibited categories. Now, the following types of content are ineligible to monetize. So you cannot monetize these categories. They are totally prohibited. Now, misinformation. So any type of content that has been rated to be false, that the information is false, cannot be monetized. So you don't just say you want to come online and post controversial issues just to draw traffic. If a particular issue has been rated as false, that kind of content cannot be monetized. The next one is misleading medical information. Now, content that contains medical claims that have been disproven by an expert organization, including but not limited to anti-vaccination claims. So for any form of medical claim or medical information that is false, that kind of content cannot be monetized.